Good evening, Andrew. Thank you for joining Atlanta Media, sponsored by OnlySuperNews.com. Andrew, you're joint manager alongside Gary Smith. How have you enjoyed the season so far as being joint manager?
We've continued off from where we left off last year in terms of building on what we started when we took over. I like working with Smudge. He's got his skill set which complements mine. He's a good character. He's got another side to him, a serious side, which probably some of you don't see. But when he has to use that serious side, he does. The partnership's working really well. It has done since we sort of started working together, or Steve and Bob put us as a pair, which really is amazing. We didn't know each other really before January, and then all of a sudden sort of we've got on so well and we're working together as sort of a duo, and things are going really well between us two in terms of the man-to-man management is really good from Smudge in terms of coaching and tactics, and that's sort of what I cover, and that partnership is flourishing at the moment, and long may that continue.
And obviously Tom Bailey joined the setup in the summer. How has it been? How different has it been learning from Tom, who's an experienced coach, working with Norwich City in the academy, with Kettering, Stratford? What's that like working with a coach which has got a lot of experience?
Tom's got a completely different skill set from myself in terms of, so when it comes to like tactics and technical side, so I feel that's probably my strong point. So I've been sort of delving in that for years and years. In terms of learning from Tom, it's the other side in terms of understanding budgets, of players in the league, understanding wage bills, and sort of like the recruitment process of some players. Obviously he's got a wide connection, maybe a connection of players that me and Smudge haven't got. So what we've done is tapped into them connections that Tom's going. Also like sort of the loan market as well, due to Tom's like connections. There's lads who sort of we've got within our first team squad, which are doing really well. Maybe they need some loan moves to play more games. So Tom's got a lot of connections away from maybe some of the clubs that me and Smudge know. So bringing that to the table has been really, really good. And not only that in terms of the loans, but identifying some players for us like a Dan Creaney and a Jimmy Fry. The connection with obviously Luke Little at Walsall. What Tom sort of communicated with and then got him over the line, if you like. So from that side of the game, he's added something totally different to the mix, if you like, which is really, really good, because then what it means is that everyone can sort of work to their strengths and everyone knows their roles and responsibilities within the trio, if you like, and that works well.
You touch on player recruitment. How important has it been this season getting the right players for the way you want to play your style of football?
Yeah, so like I said, in terms of like philosophy and the tactical and technical side, that sort of responsibility lies on all of us, but heavily sort of on me. But in terms of, and then you've got it's about me and Smudge then identifying sort of what players, so Smudge will say what players are right for the changing rooms, so not just from a technical and tactical side, but from a psychological side. So, and that's something that Smudge is good on. So what we do is we identify players what are going to suit the philosophy in terms of how we play, in terms of recruiting a resurner, so Greg Casabona, going back in obviously for Chris Late, and some others. And then from that moment there, the recruitment's been sort of like vital of picking the right players for the changing room, but the right players for the pitch as well, and both are as important as each other. So I think the recruitment process has gone really, really well. If we look at someone like Rhys Ernest, who's come in, he's done really, really well. He's obviously flourishing now. He understands the philosophy and the way we play. If you look at Nathaniel Roturna, he's another one that's done excellent. He's settled in really well and he's getting better game after game. I could go through the other players that we've recruited, like a Jimmy Fry, who's like he's been in there for years for Town Football Club. They're all setting. Dan Creaney's getting better with game and game. But then the other thing as well is we've got sort of like Bilal, and I look at some of the improvements that Bilal's made. So there's one thing sort of recruiting the player, and then integrating into the way you play, the style you play, the philosophy that you're adopting at the club. Can you carry out the physical demands that you're asking for? But then as a coach, it's important then improve the player and make him better. So, you know, if I look at someone like Bilal, you know, I think a lot of them have got better, but Bilal's got better and better as time's gone on, understanding of his roles and responsibilities, and that goes for all the players, but also just coaching them on little technical details. You know, then we've got some other players who are seasoned at this level, like Aaron Ford, who you bring in for a certain job. He's got a good skill set in terms of personality, off the pitch, and in terms of he's a winner. So it's bringing that into the pot. And for me, it's Aaron Ford can be made better as a player always, but he's got a very good skill set with the ball already. So it's just about him sort of understanding his roles and responsibilities about what we do. But it's been excellent so far, and long may it continue.
Yeah. So we're halfway through the season now. You can't really reflect on the whole of the season yet, but can you reflect on the season so far? We're top of the league. Is that where our aim was? Well, was it playoffs? How did you see it to start with?
It's a really good question actually, and when you do these interviews, halfway through the season, you know that sort of question's possibly coming. When someone says expectation, the expectation for 3/4 of the teams in our league, you know, 14 or 15 teams, is playoffs or promotion. That's what teams go for in our leagues. So then what you'll find is that you're in that mix. So you're part of a management what is in that mix, and you're part of a club who wants to get promoted. So then there's going to be possibly 14 other managers what are disappointed, or 13 other managers what are disappointed. So in terms of, we've got to think of the history of Tamworth Football Club is massive. It's a conference club. But then currently where Tamworth are, we're not in the conference obviously. So someone summed it up really, really well, saying that the head of the club is in the conference. The body of the club is not in the conference, it's in the University Prem. So then what you've got to do is the expectation then's got to be realistic, achievable. So the expectation for Tamworth Football Club is to be playing in the conference. And for us it's about getting promotion. That's the key. If I look at the old season as an whole, the club hasn't won an FA Cup game in 5 or 6 years. This year we played 5 FA Cup games, we got to the 4th qualifying round. So is that success? I think that's success. I would have liked to go one round more. We're top of the league. Our ambition, our targets as a management team, as players, as the club, is to get promoted. So I think we're ticking them boxes because we are top of the league at the moment, but no trophies are given out in December, and December is going to be a big month for us. So you know, we're doing well at the moment, but there's a long way to go, and our feet are grounded. We're in the quarterfinals of the Birmingham Senior Cup. We're in another cup competition still in the last 16, I think.
Yeah. So
we're ticking them boxes, and like we said at the start, that we'll take every competition seriously. The only competition which I think we could have done better in, which I'm probably a little bit disappointed, is the FA trophy, but the lads have been superb. If you would have said top of the league, quarter-final of the Birmingham Senior Cup still in it, and the last 16 of a Staffs Cup, and then 4th qualifying round of the FA Cup, I think that the committee, the club, the fans, they were sort of took that at the start of the season. So I think we're excelling in the league, to be honest with you, because like I said, there's 14 other clubs who are vying for a playoff place or to be top.
Yeah, well, it's funny because you've answered my cup competition question, but as you saw when we played Nuneaton Borough, how the supporters were ready for it, and at the end I saw you were celebrating with the supporters because I was filming that, and you just saw how much this club means to so many people, and how we took the competitions like the FA Cup, etc. so seriously, and how we wanted to get far in the rounds compared to previous years, and like you just said, how we've been prepared for it, and how we wanted to go and try and win these games in the cup competitions. So away from Tamworth as joint manager, I believe you coaching the Scholars, don't you?
Yeah, that's correct.
How's that going?
Yeah, I mean the club as a whole, I work with from the under-19s, so under-17s up to the under-19s, and all the 21 squad are top of the league. There's 3 19s teams, they're all top of the league. So the standards at the club, we've got some great members of staff in the Scholars as well, with Scott Rickards and obviously Academy Director Mike Fowler. They're tremendous in terms of setting standards, and that ethos is going through the whole club. So the way we play, if you came and looked at our scholars play, you'd see some similarities of the way the first team play. Obviously I'm part of the scholars as well in the way we play, but that continuity between the under 19s, the 21s and the first team is excellent, because then when you get a lad who comes in from the 19s, and we've had quite a few this year, which is excellent for the club. As I know, like Champeg came on against Hereford, the biggest game of the season, and he didn't look at that place. He just slips in there like seamlessly. So that's brilliant for the club moving forward, and it's a buzz to be part of the under 19s as much as it is with the first team, because there's something building here. Mike started that sort of like, I think this is his 5th season. So to be part of that now for the 2nd season, it's excellent. We won the 19s league last year, obviously. We're building on that again. And the aim of the club is to get as many players in to the first team as possible. And like I said, there's a lot of players what have represented the first team over the last couple of seasons, and probably more than that. So we're ticking them boxes, if you like. And the lads are getting a real opportunity at Tamworth Football Club through our youth development programme and going into the first team. And long may that continue. The ideal scenario would be to have 6-7 players next year inside the first team. There's already a few in and around it on a regular basis, and there's always players involved in training. Even tonight we've got 4 or 5 involved, and that's part of the club philosophy, to have them players in the first team sessions so that they've got that chance to build, learn and gain off the experienced players. So it's to be part of the Tamworth Football Club at the moment is amazing, and it just shows you when a programme's put in place, there's a philosophy and people stick to the programme and the philosophy and you've got some good people like I've mentioned around. You mentioned Tom and Gaz, and I've mentioned Mike and Scott Rickards, who's tremendous. When you do that as an whole, what you find is that the club can move forward because you've got some things in place which are consistent, measurable and achievable.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen how much this club means to you on the sidelines when we score a goal, and how much passion you put into it, and the supporters really, really appreciate it. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you, Andrew, for this interview, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Cheers. Thank you.